Good afternoon, friends, respected chairpersons and senior consultants. So I would like to speak on diagnostic imaging of the breast carcinoma, that is a local imaging, not CT or PET CT component. So what are the major imaging modes? So when I was in first year MD, I was scared of mammography. So later on I came to know that it's not that difficult. Uh, so the three major modes are breast mammography, sonography, and MRI. So, what are the indications of mammography? Screening and diagnostic. So, in diagnostic, the indications are evaluation of palpable lesions in more than 30 years, significant nipple discharge, skin changes, proven carcinoma, and follow-up of treated patients. So, what is mammography? So, what is the definition of mammography? Mammography is similar to an X-ray, but different in the form that mammography is specialized radiograph of the soft tissue that is breast. So how is mammography different from a chest X-ray or a routine radiography? So let us see these two examples. The left image is a mammogram and the right one is a chest X-ray. So if you compare with the chest X-ray, the chest X-ray comprises of various densities, that is bone, air, soft tissue, etc. So the inherent density difference is higher in chest X-ray. So, but what do you see in a mammogram? You see two soft tissue densities, that is the breast parenchyma and the fat. Second, we see metastatic lesions in the lung here. So this would be approximately 1 centimeter. The smaller lesions are not seen. This microcalcification would be less than a millimeter. So the two requirements of a mammogram are high spatial resolution, that is we need to see something which is 1/10 to 1/20th of a millimeter. Second is we have to be, it has to be of high contrast resolution. So how do we get an image which has very high spatial resolution and a very high contrast resolution? So the focal spot is very small, the detectors are advanced, we use grid, so there are many differences. So what are the two views? The routine views are craniocaudal and mediolateral oblique, and there are additional views, and the most important of them are spot compression and magnification. So let's see an example. So how is a mammography performed? We take a do history, then before performing a mammography, we always look for clinical details. We do not do a mammography without clinical details. If possible, with a diagram of the clinical examination findings. And this is the X-ray tube. X-ray tube, a detector, and this is a compression plate. So the breast is immobilized with a compression of 10 psi, that is equivalent to keeping a 10 kg compression on the breast. So why is compression important? A mammographic exposure takes 2 seconds to 3 seconds. So patient has to be immobilized, the breast has to be uniformly thinned out, it has to be uniform throughout, and compression decreases the radiation exposure to the breast. So in a CC view, craniocaudal view, the X-ray tube is in the cranial part and this is the detector. And in the mediolateral oblique view, it is a 45-degree angle mammogram to include the axillary tail of breast. So the images are displayed in this format so that the symmetry helps in locating the lesions. So this is a properly done mammogram. So what is an adequate mammogram? The inframammary fold should be visible on MLO view, the nipple should be in profile, and the pectoralis major muscle should be adequately visualized. Second is the location of the lesion. So this is a CC view of the left breast with convention. This is the upper part and this is the lower part. This is the outer part and this is the inner part, and this would be the upper and lower. So this lesion, the star-shaped lesion, is in the outer lower quadrant of the breast. This is central inner. So this is in the central inner region. So what is a compression view? So in this mammogram, this is a faint density. We don't know whether it is a summation shadow of the breast tissue or an abnormality. So you compress on this particular area, and this is still persisting. This is a persistent density even on compression view. So it is not a summation shadow, but an abnormality. Okay. So how do you report a mammogram? So we report it according to the lexicon BI-RADS, that is American College of Radiology Breast Imaging Reporting and Data System. So let's see an example. So before going to the reporting per se, we divide the breast parenchyma into 4 different types. Example, these are the 4 examples. So this is an entirely fatty breast, right? This is a scattered fibroglandular parenchyma. This is a heterogeneously dense parenchyma, and this is a very dense parenchyma. So why is it important to classify? So try finding out one star in this cloud. So imagine this is a very dense parenchyma. The star is not visible. Or this one. So we see microcalcification on mammography. So in presence of a dense background breast parenchyma, the sensitivity of the mammogram decreases. So in a fatty parenchyma, the sensitivity is around 80%, more than 80%, and this is around 65%. So after the final assessment, we need to classify the breast mass as one of the following. So we'll come to this later on. So what are the major descriptive factors? Mass, calcification, architectural distortion, and asymmetry. 4 subheadings of the reporting of mammography. So how is the mass? Is it round, oval, lobulated, or irregular? So these are the 4 examples. In this lexicon of BI-RADS, the lexicon is designed in such a way that the first finding would be the most benign finding of all the findings, and this would be intermediate, and this would be the most worrisome finding. So if you are able to put your findings on the lexicon, and if you find all your findings to be on the right side of the table, then it's a worrisome mass. So a mass which is round is likely benign, and irregular mass is likely to be a malignant mass. So first is shape, margin. Again, this is increasing degree of malignant potential. This is a very well circumscribed mass, obscured, microlobulated, ill-defined, and spiculated. So if we have an irregular mass with spiculated margins, then it is worrisome. So again, images. So this is a very well circumscribed round mass. So this would be BI-RADS category 2, most likely, after the ultrasound evaluation. And this is a spiculated dense mass, which irregular shape. So this is a worrisome mass, BI-RADS category 5. So coming to calcifications. Previously, the calcifications were divided into benign, intermediate, and malignant or suspicious. So with BI-RADS 2015 has removed the intermediate category. So when we see a calcification, we have to either put it into a benign category or a suspicious category. So typically benign calcifications or the calcifications may be suspicious. So which is the most suspicious calcification? The last one. Which is the of the suspicious category, which is the least suspicious? Amorphous, then coarse heterogeneous, fine pleomorphic, and linear branching, linear or fine linear branching. So let us see examples. So how is this calcification? This is a vascular calcification. This is not a microcalcification. So there are terms when we use while reporting. A microcalcification is something which is smaller than 1 millimeter. A macrocalcification is which is larger than 1 millimeter. Within microcalcification, if it is smaller than 0.1 millimeter, that is 1/10 of a millimeter, we call it as a fine microcalcification. So this is a macrocalcification. So this is parallel tram track like calcifications. These are vascular calcifications, category 2, benign. This is a macrocalcification, popcorn. A calcification which is easily seen is likely benign. A calcification which is not easily seen is usually a malignant calcification. So where is this calcification located? Within the skin. So patients come with talcum powder or turmeric. So we should be careful on both the views, whether it is in the skin or breast parenchyma. So this is a dermal calcification, category 2. So this is a classical malignant calcification, the calcification of the ducts. Fine, linear with branching pattern, worrisome calcification. This is coarse, heterogeneous, again worrisome calcification. So this is not very easily seen. So this is bad. Again, pleomorphic heterogeneous calcifications, category 5. Category 5 calcifications, branching pattern, not easily seen, heterogeneous pleomorphic calcification, category 5. Again. So we need to report whether the calcification is within the breast mass or it's outside the mass, how far it is outside the mass, whether it is reaching up to the nipple areola complex. So it's very important. So next is architectural distortion. What is an architectural distortion? Which is seen on, this is not a mass nor a calcification, but there is some abnormality in the architecture. So usually it can be either carcinoma or post-traumatic change or post-chemotherapy change. So similar to mammography, there are lexicons for ultrasound. So this is an example of a lesion. How is the lesion? It's a well circumscribed lesion, not very dense, no pleomorphic microcalcifications. So most likely benign. So we need to confirm. We do not know whether the contents are solid or cystic. So this is an ultrasound image, well circumscribed. This is a simple cyst. So this would be Byrades category 2. Similar to that, similar lesion but solid component. So ultrasound is very important to differentiate between solid and cystic components. Similarly here, cystic, solid, but this is worrisome with bad edges, parallel, anti-parallel. Again, similar to mammography, the margins of ultrasound are very important. This is ill-defined margin, so this is worrisome, likely malignant mass. This is likely a benign mass. So what is Byrades? We need to describe the mass and we also need to tell what is to be done. So Byrades category 5 would be highly suggestive of malignancy. 2 would be benign and C is suspicious of malignancy. So what is 3? So these two, Byrades category 4 and 5 will directly go for biopsy. 3 is benign, 2 is benign, and what is 3? So it is intermediate category. So we call for follow-up, and on the next follow-up, we should either put it under benign or suspicious category. So the patient cannot be put into category 3 after more than 1 year. So either it has to be shifted to either benign or suspicious. So what is this? Category 5 because of pleomorphic microcalcification and speculated margins. In tomosynthesis, there are multiple images of the breast taken at various angles, and it helps in identifying lesions in a dense breast. So this is without tomosynthesis, and this is with tomosynthesis, architectural distortion seen. without tomosynthesis and with tomosynthesis, the same lesion. So previously we used to do mammogram on film mammography. Digital mammography is much better for storing, for visualization of the lesions.
We give you 2 more minutes. Please continue.
Okay. So what is this? So this is wire localization of non-palpable mass. In non-palpable mass, under mammographic guidance, wire is inserted across the mass and patient is shifted to the OT. And after the specimen is removed, after dissection along the wire, we do a specimen mammography to confirm the complete removal of the mass. And a word on best MRI. So what are the indications? So the indications are screening for women at high risk and preoperative staging of newly diagnosed breast cancer, evaluation of effect of NSAT, evaluation of implants, occult primary, suspected local recurrence, and problem solving tools. So the MRI is not the primary investigation usually. So comparison between mammography, sonography, and MRI. Microcalcification is well seen on mammography, and duct dilatation is seen better on sonography, and implant evaluation and architectural distortion are seen the best on MRI. So this is a carry-home message that mammography is best suited to detect microcalcification. MR for mass and duct dilatation by sonography. Thank you.